Open Mic with Eastern Maine Sports.
Thank you for joining Open Mic with Eastern Maine Sports. My name is Mark Callan. I got Cassidy, Godin here with me. We do have a special guest tonight. Logan Martin's going to be joining me after we, Cassidy and I do some chatting about what's going on around local sports and kind of nationally. Going to have Cassidy talk about kind of what's going on with Women's College World Series, a little bit about WNBA also, as there's a lot of exciting stuff. But first, I kind of want to introduce ourselves. This is kind of our first podcast that we're going to start doing weekly, and Cassidy's going to be part of it. We got the whole group's going to be part of it, really, and happy to have you, Cassidy. And how's everything going?
Yeah, it's going good. I'm excited to kind of talk in an open kind of format. We've had a group chat for years to talk about sports, and now this kind of gives us a platform to kind of share our thoughts about, professional and local sports and just kind of discuss those a little further.
Yeah, and professionally right now, not a lot going on with local teams. Obviously, the Patriots just got AJ Brown yesterday. Red Sox struggling away here, going towards mid season, and kind of the Celtics and Bruins kind of didn't do so great in the playoffs.
No,
But
yeah.
what high school ranks though is kind of busy right now. We're getting to the playoffs, and our buddy Rich Rotella has got his Bucksport Bucks #1 again in Class C, and
Yeah.
that's good to see. We root for all the teams, but good to see one of our own do well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And they were so fun and electric to watch last year in the playoffs. I'm sure it'll be the same. He does a great job coaching them.
Yeah, and a lot of some Class C action, Bucksport, as we said in softball and baseball. It's Washington Academy and Mananocook. Mananocook beat Washington Academy yesterday, a big win for them. So those two will finish 1-2 in baseball, and in softball, it's going to be probably Bucksport and Mananocook, the top two. Washington
Hmm.
Academy's in the mix, and Narragansett Vegas. So our Orono team this afternoon, and boy, can they hit! They hit, I think, 4 home runs well over the fence today against Dexter. So very impressive there. And we as I said, we want to kind of touch on. Let's touch on the WNBA first. They just got the
Yeah.
season started. Kind of the big news. Player got released, right? Haley.
Haley Van Lith, yeah. She had gotten re-picked up at one point by a new team. I don't know if she's still with that new team. I follow it. I have the All Pass subscription. I'm a big fan this year of I really just think like Washington Mystics could really develop into something great. They had some awesome draft picks, and they're a very young team. So like statistically right now they're not thriving, doing that great. But I do think as the season progresses that they could develop into a team to watch. And then obviously like locally, it's great to see Mackenzie Holmes back out with the Seattle Storm, making an impact, having great games, having great minutes off the bench. So I always have a great time watching her. And then, along with, let's see, oh, I guess, like, kind of surprising for me is Minnesota Lynx still sitting at the top without Nafisa Collier, which is impressive, to say the least, especially that, that's their best player. So there's no denying that. And then just to kind of see
156 pitch of the day. Line to right.
That wasn't intentional. Sorry about that.
to see the Liberty and Indiana Fever sitting like at 500 is kind of surprising for me to see Caitlin Clark sit down in that low middle of the pack, and same with like Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart with the Liberty sitting down there. It's just a little out of character. So barely started the season, about 9 games in, but definitely some good teams to watch, and obviously the WNBA in general is expanding, and they have new teams in Toronto and Portland, and it's really great to see women's sports just kind of get a little bit more professional and have a broader bandwidth throughout the country.
Well, and that's one of the many reasons. One is you got knowledge of all sports, but one of the reasons is we kind of want to expand what we talk about too. Obviously, we talk about the Red Sox, Celtics, and Patriots and Bruins, and all the college basketball. But the women's sports is really thriving right now, and it's great to see right now in the women's college World Series. It's been very exciting, and honestly, I listen to a lot of sports talk radio. People talk about
Yeah.
that more than they are the baseball, college
Yeah.
World Series, and it's really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been these games throughout this super regional and then into the Women's College World Series have been electric. There have been, not just upsets, but, like, just big time plays, bottom of the 7th, like, sort of thing to tie it up and go to extras. That happened multiple times during the Women's College World Series, and now we have a rematch this year of the finals last year of Texas Tech, um, and Florida, and so not Florida, sorry, Texas Tech's in Texas, and last year, Texas won, and I don't know, with Nyjeri Kennedy, and the other pitcher they have there, Terry, they just do this really dynamic just pitching ability. They switch each other out so interchangeably, like, you'll see one pitch for, like, 5 hits, 5 outs, and then they'll switch it up, and they switch back, and they switch up, and they switch back. The other night, I watched it for just, like, a couple innings, I was getting ready for bed, and they switched 3 times in the time that I was just getting ready for work, and so I have a great time. I would love to see it for Nyjeri Kennedy and their staff, to have Texas Tech win it this year.
And speaking of Texas Tech, we're going to show this video of how they ended it last night.
156th pitch of the day. Line to right field. All Reds there. Texas Tech and Texas are set for a rematch. The Red Raiders and the Longhorns survive one of the wildest days in World Series history. And they will lock horns once more in the championship finals.
Now, when they say the wildest day, they had to beat them twice, correct?
Correct, and Texas also had to beat, um who'd they play yesterday? Texas had to beat the team they played yesterday twice as well. Texas and Texas Tech were both in the losers bracket, which is very rare. I was watching, one of the first games, and it was like if you win game 1 of the Women's College World Series, like your first game, it's like 98% chance that you're gonna win, or like it'll be a winner in the winners bracket the whole way to win the final thing. And so this is gonna be great. Like, honestly, I'm super pumped for it because this is gonna be pretty exciting to see them go back and forth again, this year like they did last year. And then obviously, ending the incredible career, of Jordy Ball, who's now Jordy Fromm. She's just, dynamic, transferred from Oklahoma, went back home to her home state of Nebraska, 5th year senior, just announced she's pregnant yesterday or this morning, which is just, congratulations to her, but also congratulations to her on an incredible career. Someone that has been doing it all. She's had, 30, I think she had 30 starting games and 30 home runs in one season. Like that had never happened before. So she's just, yeah, there's definitely a lot about this senior class that will be missed in terms of college sports.
Yeah, and doing it while she's pregnant. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, she's due in December, so she's 3 months or so.
Incredible. So what's they start tomorrow, right? They start Wednesday. Well,
Yes,
people might be
tomorrow
watching this
night.
on Wednesday, but so
Wednesday,
it
yeah.
starts on Wednesday, and it's a best of 3, correct?
Best of 3, yeah, it'll be Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday if needed. And that's what's so interesting about, women's sports is you heard them say in that clip, like, this is like 178th pitch of the day or something like that for Nyjeri Kennedy, because they played 2 games back to back, like, people don't in baseball, it's the shoulder, and protecting the shoulder and the elbow of these pitchers, and then in women's sports, it's just completely different, like, they can just pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch. There was a girl for UCLA the other day, their starting pitcher had almost 200 pitches in the game, and it's just like, people look at that and they're like, "Wow, that's crazy," but people don't realize they play these games back to back, double headers like this all the time. They're conditioned for that, and so to see them go about 200 pitches in an outing isn't super uncommon, but just kinda mind-blowing if you think about it, to throw with such accuracy after they're still fatigued, right? So, after
Yeah.
200
You do anything 200 times, you're gonna get tired.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I also wanted to kind of touch back to the high school just for a little bit. Right now is kind of a tough time. To me, it's probably the hottest season to coach because you got, first of all, the first 2 or 3 weeks are usually not on your field. It's usually in the gym, and
Right.
then you get this time of year where seniors have checked out unless they're really into the sport. Because they. I mean, these state championships are 2 weeks. I mean, most kids are graduating this weekend, and the state
Right.
championships are in 2 weeks. So they
Yeah.
play for 2 weeks after. They're looking to go to college or get a job or both, and it's must be really challenging for coaches, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't imagine. I remember specifically my junior year, because I played co-ed baseball my senior year in, like, a weird dynamic and, playoffs were, we weren't that great. But
I
my
remember
senior
covering your game. You pitched.
yeah, my junior year, though, when I was playing softball, I will never forget it. Like, the seniors were, like, ready for graduation that weekend. We were headed, like, 3 hours away for a playoff game, and then, like, I had my junior, craziness, sleepover at the school, like, that evening, and so when we got back, like, all the guys that were, like, ready for us to come back, they were like, "Welcome back." It was, like, 9 p.m., like, we still had all those things going on in activities, and it is hard, kids are, studying, not studying for finals, but also, like, there's a lot of excitement about, going to the next grade or graduating, and then you're thinking about starting college and, getting a job over the summer and just being there's definitely an itch, right, to, like,
Yeah.
get nicer weather, especially where we live in this climate. Um, to when that nice weather comes, it's like, "Okay, I'm all done." But you're right, if they have the love for the sport, then definitely it sticks around, but if it's just, there because it's high school and it's fun and we've been doing this for years, then it can be really hard. I can imagine it can be really tough to keep kids focused.
That's why I got to give credit to programs like Bucksport softball, Herman softball. The teams that are there constantly, like Washington Academy baseball the last couple of years. The teams
Yeah.
that are there. That's kudos to the coaching staff and kind of building up the program to get
Mhm.
these kids where yes, graduating is the number one thing, but softball, winning the Golden Glove is kind of right at the top of the list too.
Yeah, I mean, and I think once you have that little taste of what winning feels like and how fun it can be when you're being competitive and fighting for a championship and, that sort of thing is kind of contagious. So I could definitely see that, like, especially this year with Bucksport, like, being like, "Okay, like, we could do this again. Like, realistically, we could do this again." And so seeing them doing that well, again is just exciting and, really proud of those girls too, just staying determined and locked in.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for joining. You're going to be a big part of this going forward. I hope to have you, do some interviews, with some student athletes coming up, in the summer or whatnot.
Yeah.
And, definitely plan on hoping if you want to be a big,
Yeah.
a big part of this. And, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Cassidy.
Bye.
Now to our guest of the night, Logan Martin, and appreciate you coming on, Logan. First, I want to introduce you. For people that don't know you, you went to Foxcroft Academy. You were a standout athlete there. One of the best seasons around your junior year, and that got you a lot of recognition around the state, nation. You got offers, I think, from Wagner, right? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Wagner, and then Umaine, and you ended up going to Umaine. Um, I want to just before we get into kind of your story, maybe how big that is for the small schools. Not Foxcroft's a pretty small school. There's a lot of small, a lot more small schools in the state than there are the bigger schools. Hard work, you can get there no matter where you go, right?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thanks for having me, Mark.
Yeah.
Always good to chat with you. I've enjoyed every conversation. Miss getting in the booth and broadcasting with you. Looking forward to get back into it. But yeah, no, you're right. Being from Dover Foxcroft, coming from a small town, obviously, Division I football isn't really a realistic vision for most kids growing up, and it really wasn't for me for most of my life. It was more of just figuring out, hey, I'm doing well with this football thing. I think if I can put in the work, I can take it to another level and maybe see if I can get somewhere with it. But it's interesting to see because now in 2026, I just feel like the state of Maine as a whole is in a completely different situation when it comes to recruiting. In terms of basketball, you know this more than anyone. Basketball in the state of Maine is kind of just taken over. Basketball is a very popular sport here in Maine. Football, I feel like over the years has kind of dipped down in terms of interest, and I think it's mostly because of basketball and how much the interest has risen. But that doesn't mean that opportunities have been shrinking. I think opportunities have been expanding in the state of Maine. You look at Jordan Stevens coming in at University of Maine. Grew up in Maine, played high school football, then took over as a head coach at University of Maine. It looks like he's making more of an opportunity to get out and recruit in-state kids. And obviously basketball, a lot of out-of-state opportunities. So just Maine as a whole, I just feel like there's a lot more opportunities, even now than in 2021 when I was a senior in high school, or in 2020 when I was a junior, trying to get recruited. I was on Twitter going to work every single day on the truck ride with my dad, like scrolling through Twitter, following every single coach I can, send them a unique personal message like, hey, can you check out my film? Just give me an opportunity. Like, I struck out probably 250 times, and I might be estimating, cut myself a little short there with the number, but really it was just sending those out and getting rejected or just not getting any response. And 5, 10, 15, then 20 people, started responding. And then it was like, hey, maybe I should look into playing college football, which is the route I took.
And I want to go to a quote after you announced, you're going to Umaine. I get this quote that you said, I'm blessed to be in this position, but one thing I've learned throughout this process is patience. Going into my junior year and then having a great junior year, I didn't get offered anything until October of my senior year. But being patient and focusing on what I needed to do to make myself better, and then let the chips fall. That's what I had to do. So despite your unbelievable junior year, you still didn't get any looks, right?
Right, at the time. I mean, when I was a freshman, I went to a camp in Wesleyan University in Connecticut with my dad. He drove me all the way out there. Shout out my dad. Yeah, and we went out there. Shout out Brent Martin.
Yeah.
Love you, Dad. He's my idol. He's who I look up to. He sets an example each day how to live life as a man, provide love and, take care of a family. And he's always been here through my ups and downs. So yeah, shout out Dad, but, drove me all the way out to Wesleyan University. I did really good in the camp. I had a lot of coaches coming up to me after, giving me a card or their phone number. And I was 15, 16 years old at the time. Actually, the Wesleyan coach had me stay after, and me and my dad went on a visit around the campus on a football visit right after the camp. Got to see the whole university, saw the oldest grass field in the country, if I'm not mistaken, right in the center of campus at Wesleyan. It was pretty cool environment there. But yeah, that's just really where it started. I just stayed patient, didn't really get anything junior year. Obviously, University of Maine was the goal of mine. They didn't really seem as interested as I think I wanted them to be. Schools like St. Anselm were taking me on visits and they offered me full ride scholarships, and showed really a lot of interest. UNH showed a lot of interest, and actually offered me. And then when UNH offered me, I got the call from University of Maine the next day and said, hey, look, we're sorry UNH got to you first. We'd like to offer you a PWO. And that's the route I chose. Hindsight's hindsight. I'm glad I took that decision because I met my best friends, stayed close to Maine. Obviously had to go through a lot of things that weren't, what I had planned out in my 4 years in college, but it is why who I am today. It made me who I am today is, I guess, the best way to put it.
And then unfortunately, you got injured, and kind of that changed your plans. that changed your plans. You could be in a different place. I mean, I'm glad you're with Eastern Maine Sports and do some broadcasts, but you could be, at a much different place. You could be
Yeah.
going to, I mean, obviously you had a lot of work to do, but you could be still playing football right now and playing at a high level. So let's get back to that. You got injured. It was at practice, right?
No, it was actually during a scrimmage. It was one of the last few plays of a scrimmage during summer camp at the University of Maine.
Okay. And then, so everything changed. You ended up at Husson. How did that process go where you weren't at Umaine anymore and then ended up at Husson? How did that process go?
Yeah, so obviously my injury happened within the first couple weeks of University of Maine. So it was like I probably had, I don't know the exact number, so I'm guessing, but I want to say probably like 6, maybe 5, 6, 7 days of football at University of Maine, and then boom, like my knee it just shreds. My my surgeon, Dr. McGuire, shout out Dr. McGuire, basically said my lateral meniscus exploded. I tore my ACL, fractured my femur in a couple spots. And then, yeah, obviously a year goes by in rehab, uh, half a year goes by in rehab. And then I'm looking into, I'm doing my check-ins, going to rehab, doing that, MRI, get that back. And like, it's just a scare because I saw a cyclops lesion that was in my knee. And at the time they were scared that I would have to have a meniscus transplant. And that was just, heart drop. When you hear that, your knees stiff, you're walking to Maine winters, this is your dream school, this is where you wanted to be. A year and a half has gone by. You still haven't played because of this knee injury. You're still trying to get healthy. This thing's stiff, and now they're talking about a meniscus transplant. So I think mentally, looking back, that probably was pretty deflating. And they come to find out it was a cyclops lesion, so they cleaned that out, and I actually was walking better after the surgery than before. But that kind of started the thought. It wasn't really I made my decision, but it kind of got the gears going to, you know, am I going to be prime Logan Martin right now? Even though I'm very young at the time, I was like 20, 21 years old. Am I going to be able to be the same after this? And yeah, so that was basically what the decision came to, and obviously phone calls with my parents and just talking to them like, look, at this point, maybe it's just focus on academics. At the time, University of Maine, I don't think academically it was the right fit. I was a journalism major at University of Maine. And my mom kind of just was like, well, Husson's got a sports journalism program in NESCOM and all that. And I started looking into it, and I'm like, you know what? If I can't play on TV, why not be the guy who calls the games on TV? So, and that's just, made the switch for academic reasons.
And yeah, I think you got a bright future in sports journalism. I wouldn't get to that in just a second. I do want to stay on the Husson thing for a little bit, because I noticed that you're a dynamic playmaker all those years, and I noticed you did some punting. Was that different? You did some punting in Husson, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that just kind of came up. Husson University was a lot different than UMaine in terms of football. Like, at Husson, there were 28 receivers at the time, I think it was. And at University of Maine, I think it was 13, 14. So, you triple the amount of numbers, and, you think about reps in practice and the amount of time you have, you cut that down to divvy it up. It's kind of like, what Coach Clark's talking about, they need a punter. Why not just be like, hey, look, I'm just trying to see the field anyway. And initially I was kind of thinking I'd be doing a lot of fake punts. So I'm like, why not? So I started kicking at practice, and obviously I was drilling 45-yard field goals. I was feeling comfortable before practice, punting and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of took off from there.
Just anything you can do to get on the field.
Hey, anything I can do. I mean, they say make your name known special teams, and I guess that's kind of what I did.
And we want to take you back to because I've been doing this since 2009, so I do remember you playing days very well. You were not just football, but you were pretty good at basketball, baseball. You actually did track and golf, huh? Too. You were kind of a busy high school kid, huh?
Yeah, definitely. COVID. Yeah, added golf to the list.
And I want to talk about COVID because, as I said, I remember you very well from your playing days. But what I remember is you sent me a message to East Maine Sports about the effect that COVID had on the high school students, and you sent it to me. We posted it, and you also got to the Portland Press Herald and other outlets also. What was the purpose behind that, and when you did that?
Yeah, in terms of just being vocal about it and kind of sharing my thoughts, that was 100% me, um, being real in the moment. I think if it was, obviously a lot has changed. I'm a different person now, but I feel like if it was the same situation, I still would have done the same thing. I just COVID for me. I've been hit in the head a lot of times with football, so a lot of things are kind of a blur. But COVID to me was just a big time blur because it feels like it's just an empty chapter in my book in my life, and it's part of a lot of why I'm doing what I'm doing right now and trying to give back to the youth because I want to set them up for success. In a world where people are hating on others and preying on people's downfalls, I want to be the person who looks down to the next generation and wants to give back in any way possible. And that's just kind of, and I feel like COVID's a large part of that. I feel like a lot that chapter in my book is missing. So instead of feeling sorry for myself, which I did for a long time, being real, being transparent, felt like it was robbed from me and others. But looking at it now, giving back to the kids and making sure instead of feeling sorry myself, doing what controlling what I can control, which is giving back and making sure I set these kids up, giving back anything I learned, everything I know, drills, technique, advice, whatever it is, just trying to give back to these kids. Um, something that I didn't have as a senior in high school. So I want to build them up for success in high school.
And that leads us into what you do, Foxcroft speed and skill. That's what you're doing right now. And how's that going? And how do people go about getting their kids signed up for that?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook, Foxtrot Speed and Skill, or just look up my name, Logan Martin, on Facebook, and you can find me. Shoot me a DM. Excuse me, I did get a drink of water.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shoot me a DM. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. And I'll release the Calendly link. I think it's already posted there. And Facebook, if you go to links right on the page, it should be right in there. And if you go on that Calendly page, you can see small group speed, small group skill, and then you see group speed, and group skill. Both are very good options. They're basically the same thing. It's just the amount of people that can be in each session. So small group, you can have 1 to 4 kids. It can be anything from one-on-one private to a 4 kids sign up. That's what it's capped off to. Very one-on-one. I believe my ability 1v4 is the same as one-on-one. I still find plenty of opportunities to coach the kids up, and share what I know. And I had a lot of practice as a B team coach at Setamocha, kind of set me up and got me comfortable using my voice as a coach in a different way than as a teacher and as a player. So got comfortable, a little bit more comfortable with that, and just coaching these kids up. And then the group sessions are a lot of competition. If you come to a group speed, your kid's going to have a lot of fun doing relays against other kids they see in school, or if you have kids from surrounding towns that are joining the sessions, you're competing in relays against them. It's just all a positive, fun environment. I've been training 11 kids right now in the springtime after school. So whether I'm accessing the field house, shout out Taylor Dow, who just took over there, giving me access for a couple hours just to work with kids who want sessions on Mondays, and then everything else we've just been doing outside. But these 11 kids are having a lot of fun. They're getting a lot of work. For example, I got a kid that I started working with in early March, and this kid started out, he couldn't broad jump and land on his feet very well. And within a month I had that kid broad jumping. And so it's a step-by-step process, just like how I had to handle it as an athlete in high school going up into college. You can't skip steps. You have to be process oriented. It's not going to just happen overnight. You have to put in the work. And that's why I'm here. I'm in a position where I can give back because I feel like a part of my life was taken out. And now I'm in a position where I work at the school. I have summers off. Now I can give back. I can offer drills, technique, advice, all that kind of stuff. And these kids have an outlet to get some extra work in.
And have you seen, you see a lot of the kids from the Dover area, but have you seen kids from the, a lot of towns surrounding? Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially as a coach, just seeing the other kids I compete against as a B team coach this past year. looking to continue being a coach at Setamocha, whether it's A team or B team next year. Stay tuned for that. But I'm just seeing the kids that they compete against. There's a lot of talent in the area and surrounding towns. I remember playing Milo this summer in travel basketball. They had a good group of kids, some real good athletes. Actually, one of them came to one of my sessions with his cousin who goes to Foxcroft, and both those kids are studs, very fast fourth graders who move very well, probably move better than I did when I was in fourth grade. So I'm just honored to have the opportunity to work with some of the best athletes in town. And the thing about it is people around town just don't know it yet. I mean, maybe some of them do, but these athletes, they put in the work. They're giving me 100% effort. They're having a lot of fun doing it, and knowing these kids and working with them, they're very good at what they do in athletics and academics in the school. Seeing them in school every day and just how they interact with others, they're great kids. So just honored to have this opportunity.
Before we move on to the next subject, one last time, how can parents kind of get their kids signed up?
Yeah, Foxtrot Speed and Skill on Facebook. You can reach me through my number. It's 207-249-3816. You can reach me through there, or you can email Foxtrot Speed and Skill at foxcroftsns@gmail.com. Respond to anything I say. I monitor it every day. So reach me through there. Appreciate it.
And that's one reason I know you'd be a good coach. Another reason is you have and at least during football season, you break down plays and you break down film, and I've watched a couple of those, and you do very well. Kind of, what do you look for? Well, first of all, tell people where they can find that, and you also run a podcast, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, so you can you give that a shout out, and we want everybody to succeed.
Appreciate that.
Yes, go ahead.
In the Pocket podcast on YouTube, ITP Pod. Type that in. You should find us right there. I do pretty much all the behind the scenes, but I'm a third of the podcast in terms of who's on the show. Got two others that I graduated with as sports journalism majors at Husson. We basically just talk NFL, NFL news, excuse me. We just did a lot on the draft, did a mock draft. We do picks every week, and then we do recaps after the week's all done. So yeah, a lot of stuff on there. And then, like you said, the film breakdowns that I've been doing, I'm basically just looking at matchups, looking at, what stands out pre-snap, why offenses do certain things, how they set up. So like I did a thing on the run game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen, who actually was the offensive coordinator at University of Maine at one point. Now he's the head coach in Jacksonville for the Jaguars. Just his game. Why am I blanking on who it was against? It was against the Buffalo Bills. It's just the way Liam Cohen, the game plan, the strategy of using motion to set up the offense in the run game for Jacksonville. It was beautiful to watch. I mean, just watching the motion change everything inside the box for defensively for the Buffalo Bills, the movement in the secondary, safeties dropping, and then how they manipulated it by running opposite of a safety who rotated away from that side. And just all of that stuff that goes on behind the scenes that the fans really just don't have the opportunity to just rewind and watch, or maybe they do and they just don't. I go back and watch the game after it's all said and done on Sunday, just to, see why this play was called, or, watch Shavers play with a torn ACL, knowing he tore it and played with it for 18 plays. I want to go back and watch those 18 plays he played with a torn ACL, or it was 21, I think it was, but that video is on there as well. But, in the Texans D line, the stunts that they're doing, and just the athletes they have on the defensive side of the football. I mean, football is such a beautiful sport. It's a chess match. It really is. There's more preparation and game plan than in football than in any other sport. I'll debate with anyone on that topic. Like whether it's matchups, motions. I'm not going to get into it because I'll be here all night, but it's just it's a beautiful game. So watching the film is honestly, it's like watching art. It's like watching a chess match. And especially when you got two of the best coaches in football in the world, offensive minds, whatever it is, I just enjoy watching that stuff. Now that I don't play the game, I can find a way to fall in love with football in a different way. And for me, it's just X's and O's and just talking about it and staying up to date.
Well, if anybody's looking for a coach, they should be looking, giving you a call. Because honestly, you watch the NFL different than most people, because most people are watching it, how's their fantasy football player doing, or I bet on the game, so I got to see if this team covered the 6.5. You're looking at it, breaking it down, and watching it over to break it down, and that's great. And I believe me, I think you got a future in coaching if you want it. And
appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely want it. If there's any coaching opportunities out there for football, I'm definitely open to it and looking into it.
Yeah,
I've been working on a playbook. So,
and speaking of coaches, talk about your high school coach. Very successful. Danny White, one of the better high school coaches around. What did he bring to your life in football and in life?
Oh man, Danny. Coach White, I could talk about him again. He's another topic I could talk about all night. The impact Coach White had on my life, I mean, that guy was always there for me. I mean, to make it simple, always there for me. If I, again, I'm a different man now. I don't fight those same demons I did in high school. But if there was something off with me at practice, he wasn't starting that thing until he made sure I was okay. Not saying I was any different than anyone else. He treated all the guys with the same amount of respect and care. He genuinely cared for us. But in that, and it also came with just the mastermind he is in football. I mean, that guy is the ultimate competitor. I don't know if you've ever had like a one-on-one conversation, or like maybe seen him run the agility ladder, or maybe been out into practice and see him interact when the pads thud, or someone makes a nice move, or juke someone out. I mean, that guy is. You would run through a brick wall for that man. And I mean it when I say this. I played Division I football, played Division III football, obviously played high school for Foxcroft. He gives the best pregame speeches I've ever
And I've
ever
heard
been a part of.
I've heard some of his post-game speeches, and actually have recorded some of them after like state championship games and whatnot. And it's definitely
It's
as good as it gets.
It's different. And I also think it's really different when you're in that locker room, when those doors are closed, and he can really get to your heart. Like, he can really find a way to get every single person in that room to pick their chin up and be locked in for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, however long he's talking, and then stay locked in for the game. He finds a way to do that. And that's why I love playing for him. He's just the ultimate competitor. And, you watch me play football. I wanted the balls in my hands sometimes more than I should have asked for it. And he'd find a way to put the ball in my hands because he knew how bad I wanted it. He knew how much I loved to compete. And I think he saw a little bit of me and him when it comes to competition and just wanting it. And he brings out the best in us in that way. And it's for all of his players, not just me.
And another coach you had in high school, Toby Nelson, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah. Now
you can work beside him sometimes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've broadcast a few games with Toby, thanks to you and the opportunity you blessed me with. And Toby's a great guy. I mean, he is one of the funniest guys I've ever met, but at the same time, just one of the most genuine. He's awesome, man. That guy, he cares a lot too. He's done a lot for me. When it comes to just connecting to me as a person, when he took over as the head coach at Foxcroft for basketball, he's great.
And we mentioned the other sports you played. You were a pretty darn good baseball player too, from what I remember, right?
So that's funny you say that. I talk about I don't really remember much. I don't remember a whole lot about baseball. Someone asked me the other day, when did you play baseball in high school? And I know I played Legion, and I only know my stats in Legion. I batted 500, and then I batted like 600. And mind you, I'm beating out ground balls. Like, this isn't like gap doubles. I'm turning singles into triples. I'm turning in soft dribblers back to the pitcher into single. Like, that's the only reason I was batting like that. So, I mean, the outfield, I guess, playing defense was kind of my thing. I wasn't really a power guy. I wasn't going anywhere in baseball, but
well, when I did a little bit of research for this podcast, there was a game there was like 2 games. You had like 4 hits. I don't know what year you were in high school.
Yeah, no, I go like 4 for 5, and this was like as a freshman. As I don't know if I played my freshman year, sophomore year, but it was my freshman year, sophomore year. I started out. I do remember this. I started out batting 8th or 9th. I think we're playing University of Maine opening day against Herman. And I remember having a couple big hits. Wicked nervous, freezing, frigid cold weather. I had a couple nice hits. I think I had a double too. And that was like coming from middle school. So like the base pass seemed very, very far apart. But but yeah, I just remember after that, I just slowly made my way up in the lineup, and next thing you know, I was batting first or second for the rest of the year, as an underclassman, and then I shifted back to track. And I don't really remember much about baseball, but I had a lot of fun. I do remember that, and yeah, I can't hear you. I think you're muted. There we go. I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So let's turn our focus now back to broadcasting. And you're into sports journalism. You got a podcast you're running. You work for us. You do a great job broadcasting. Kind of what are your ultimate goals in sports journalism?
Yeah, stay with Eastern Maine Sports as long as I can. Just broadcast for Eastern Maine Sports. Keep working at the school. Keep grinding. Keep getting more and more opportunities. It's easy for me to be like, yeah, I want to broadcast a national television game, but that'd be kind of selfish. Obviously, I want to shoot for the stars, but to just think that's just realistic off the bat, I can't make that leap yet. I got to put in the work. I have to, establish a name. Like, think about you, Mark. I mean, everyone knows who you are. You're the man behind Eastern Maine Sports. You're making it all happen. You've been doing this for years, and you provide amazing content. You're up to date with every single game. I mean, I've never seen anything like it in the state of Maine doing, anyone doing what you do. So for me,
Appreciate that.
I got to establish something here before I think about anywhere elsewhere. But yeah, just being with Eastern Maine Sports, grinding, getting opportunities, doing games, and just enjoying my time with you, Toby, Chris, whoever it is around. I just really have a fun time broadcasting with you guys.
And one game you did, I consider Toby one of the better announcers around, but I also consider Rob Kennedy, one of the right there with Toby and Steve Carmichael and a few other guys in the state as top broadcast. And you got a chance to broadcast a doubleheader there with Rob. What did you maybe learn from him?
Yeah. Wow. Rob Kennedy and Toby. Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to broadcast with Steve. So yeah, Rob and Toby, those guys are the best in the biz. Both of them do things where, I obviously listen to the game back because I want to critique myself, and I also want to listen to them and see if I can pick anything up on their end, listening to it back. Right? You're trying to do that while in the moment as a color commentator. It's not as easy, but you still try to do it because you think you can. But listening back, those guys do things I can't even imagine doing at this point. Like, it's something I'm going to have to work on, and it's something that I take note of. Like, it's something I have to work on. Ad reads, leads, all those kind of things, vocab, when to talk, when to, be quiet, let the crowd make noise, let the color commentator pick up, like the chemistry, everything that you don't really think about when it comes to play-by-play and color commentary. It's like the little things kind of you have to really pay attention to, and they do the little things very well. They're the best in the biz for a reason.
Yeah, and as I've always said, preparation is always the biggest, biggest thing, and you can even make me sound okay if I prepare enough. You
do sound okay. What do you mean? We've been in the booth a few times.
Yeah, I try.
There's a reason I listen to the ones with you back 10 times. I can't sleep until I listen to that back. You're great. What do you mean?
Oh, geez, thanks. But lastly, I just want to say, it's a pleasure having you part of the team. We'll have you do a lot more during football and basketball. Coming up, and I appreciate you reaching out and kind of joining us, and as a great addition to the team, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, when I gave you that phone call, just hoping to dream. Hey, Mark, can I broadcast for you? And yeah, you gave me the opportunity. You said yes, of course, right on the spot. So I'm forever thankful for the opportunity you gave me. I can't remember. I think you did meet my parents, and you met my son after one of the tournament games.
Yep.
I remember, I think we shared with you the story. Like, I was walking into the arena during the tournaments a few years back, and I look at my parents. I'm like, how do I broadcast one of these games? I got to find a way to do this. And this is, I think at the time I was at Maine, and just to be able, and you gave me that opportunity. So again, forever grateful, very thankful, very excited for what's to come this year, 2026.
Yes, we're going to have a fun year, and, definitely have you part of these projects. The last thing I do want to mention is Xavier Holmes, right?
Yeah. There's two Xaviers. Yeah, Xavier Holmes, Xavier Scott. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's you can get them confused. Yeah. Well, Xavier Holmes on the Patriots, right? Yep.
Yes. Kind of, what's your relationship with these guys that are now in the NFL? And you know, must be kind of cool having that kind of relationship with the guys that made it.
Yeah. I feel like my circle is fairly small. I think it's just part of what comes with growing up in a small town. But, Xavier Holmes is my best friend. I have two guys I consider my best friends, and one of them, Shimel Davis, lives in North Carolina, and one of them is Xavier Holmes. He plays for the New England Patriots now. I met him playing football in University of Maine as a freshman coming on. Actually, X was my first friend at University of Maine. We're all in the same Hancock Hall for summer bridge, going to that same one storytelling class together every single day, coming back, having the rest of the day to ourselves. And then obviously football workouts in between in the summer, getting ready for practice and camp. We made unbelievable memories on memories. Again, different person now, but we do have those memories I'll forever look back on. I helped him catch his first fish here in Dover. He's been to camp several times. He's been on a snowmobile for the first time in my house. I'm not trying to prove that he's my best friend, but we've had so many memories together, man. And we're like Batman and Robin, really. In college, we'd be side by side in my Tacoma truck riding, and I wasn't Batman, I'll tell you that, because that guy's an athletic freak. And yeah, no, just he's an awesome person. He's very competitive, just like I am. So we'd play mad and get heated over each other. We'd be walking to the hill for lunch or whatever, and he'd look at me and be like, I'll race you there, and we just drop whatever and we just sprint to the hill. Just to, that's just the relationship we have. And now to see him on the New England Patriots now, he's sending me pictures every day. It seems like he's having a great time. Obviously, he doesn't want to talk too much about it because NFL is a business, right? You don't want to get your hopes too high up, and next thing you know, you're cut, because that's really what happens in the NFL. But for him to make the roster as an undrafted free agent coming out of college at JMU, just super, super proud of him. He's put in the work, and he created this opportunity for himself. And then Xavier Scott, too. Yeah,
that's great stuff. And Logan, I want to thank you. We're going to wrap it up now, but I appreciate you coming on, taking the time to do this on a whatever night it is, Monday night, Tuesday night. What is it? Tuesday night.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Tuesday night. Appreciate it, man.
You. And as I said, I'll wrap this up, and we'll do this again, though. And we'll have you be listening for Logan. Check out his podcast as well, as I said. And also, he'll be on plenty of broadcasts coming this fall on Eastern Maine Sports. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. We're going to talk some ball here soon.
All right. Thank you, Logan.
Thank you, man. See ya. Have a good.
Yep. I want to wrap this up by want to say thank you to Cassidy Godin. Also want to say thank you to Logan Martin. Open mic with Eastern Maine Sports. Thank you for tuning in. I want to thanks to the sponsors: Newport Glass, Row's Garage, Rowdy's Paving, Derigo Nutrition, Hometown Nutrition, Pine State Nutrition, and Hammond Lumber. Thank you to them, and thank you to tuning in. Until next time, good night.